In 1968, Bob Kalsu was an 8th-round draft pick who came to the Buffalo Bills with a young wife, a baby daughter, and an endearing personality.
He was the type of guy always had a smile on his face. You know, he was there always to talk to if you had, let's say, a tough day or things weren't exactly right. Through your journeys in life, you know, you meet a lot of characters, but you remember this guy for the character.
But in the days that followed a successful rookie season, Bob Kalsu faced a question of character few athletes of his era ever had to answer. He was called on to serve his country.
I'm sure when he took ROTC, he didn't think of Vietnam or anything like that, but he just said, "Jan, I'm no different than anyone else." And he said, "You know, when they call me up to go, I'm going to go." There wasn't any what if in Bob's character.
He was my first lieutenant, 101st Airborne Division, 2nd 11th Artillery. He always was in control of things, but he didn't need to be mean and real aggressive to have that control. He had a lot of respect, and I liked him. There's a lot of officers I didn't like, but Lieutenant Kalsu was a different guy.
In the spring of 1970, Bob Kalsu reunited with his family. When he returned to Vietnam, he recorded a poignant message for his pregnant wife.
Jan, I love and miss you very much. Think about you all the time. And you too, Jill. And also you, baby Kay, even though you're not born yet.
My last letter that I received from him talks about that the North Vietnamese are all around us and we're in heavy mortar area.
At times it was just so much that you couldn't be out. There was mortar rounds and rockets coming in everywhere. I had taken a piece of shrapnel in my hand, and he come down and checked on me. Lieutenant Kalsu told me I could get off the hill if I wanted to. And I noticed that he had had a bandage on his left shoulder where he had been nicked by shrapnel. And I thought, if he's staying, then I'm staying.
2 days later in Oklahoma City, Robert Kalsu Jr. was born.
I knew Bob was just going to be so excited that he had a son to go with our daughter. Then my doctor comes in and he says, "Jan," he said, "there's going to be a soldier who's going to come talk to you." And I knew then, but I just said, "Bob's been killed, hasn't he?" And he just, anyway, he just held me close to him. And the soldier came in and, you know, of course they have to say it officially, "I'm sorry to inform you, your husband, First Lieutenant James Robert Kalsu, was killed in battle." And I remember, you know, because you don't think, I remember grabbing a hold of Jill and saying, "Daddy's gone," you know. If they weren't going to have their dad with them, I wanted them to have as much as they could of him in their heart. Keeping him alive to them also kept alive his values. And letting the children know that in order to get through this life, you have to have a strong faith value.
As they grew up, Bob and Jill Kalsu learned about their father. They were often reminded that he was the only professional football player to die in Vietnam. But other details of his life were not so accurately reported. And for 29 years, that has caused much pain and anguish.
What I've been told was that my father was killed by shrapnel when the Mel helicopter was landing. And I think I take on a lot of the guilt for his death, for his dying, because You know, I always think, I've been told, I always thought he was running out to see if he got letters saying I was born yet. You know, so growing up, I always wondered if I was the reason why he died.
I heard this, you know, the story where he was running to a helicopter to get a letter. And I mean, that was the farthest thing from the actual truth. And I didn't know why, you know, I figured the Army would tell him just how it happened. But it was so mixed up. This terrible explosion came right in back of him. And I got up, and guys were coming out of one of these bunkers that they'd seek shelter in. I didn't quite get the drift of what had happened yet. I guess I hit my head harder than I thought. But then somebody said that Lieutenant Kalsu had been killed. But I'll tell you what, Lieutenant Kalsu did his job. I guess he just didn't hide like guys would hide and because of being scared or something. He was a leader. He was the kind of guy that was checking on people, and he got killed doing it. Evidently, they haven't known, and I hope that this will be a healing for them to finally know the truth that they should have known a long time. What he represented, I think I've drawn on that, and I guess through my life, I didn't want to kind of let him down. I was really proud to know him. I'm proud to serve under him.
The family has recently learned the true story of Bob Kalsu's last minutes at Firebase Ripcord. While there's finally been closure on how he departed from the earth, there's never been any doubt about his spiritual presence in their lives. In that regard, Bob Kalsu has never died.
At the wedding, I truly believe my father was there. It goes back to, I think some of the hardest thing may have been on my father because he's missed out also on being that father and getting to see his children marry and getting to hold his grandchildren.
My brother came to me at the reception and he said to me, "Jill, you're not going to believe this, but during your wedding, Dad came to me and talked to me. I didn't see him, but I could hear him, and in my ear he said, I'm here at the wedding, and all I wanted to do was dance with Jill for her first dance at the wedding, and I'm not going to be able to do it, so I want you to dance for her with me." And I remember us holding each other, sobbing together, and it was one of the best memories I have because it was something that united my brother and me.
As it was coming closer to an end, I saw my dad sitting in the chair. Everyone always relays stories about his big laugh and his big smile, and you know, he was sitting there with a big smile. You know, proud of my sister and proud of me for, you know, getting this far.
And he'd be proud, too, of how they have carried on the legacy of love and caring that defined his character.
Oh, your dad loves you. You want to get that, don't you?
First, Jan, let me tell you how much I love you and miss you. And Jill, since you've been jabbering and everything, you're really getting to be a big girl. And baby Kay, you keep her growing. You'll be a healthy little one. And Daddy loves you too. Just keep her growing and be a healthy thing.